أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه، فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر، فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. ليجزي الله الصادقين بصدقهم ويعذب المنافقين إن شاء، ويعذب المنافقين إن شاء أو يتوب عليهم، إن الله كان غفورا رحيما. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه، فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. ليجزي الله الصادقين بصدقهم ويعذب المنافقين إن شاء أو يتوب عليهم، إن الله كان غفورا رحيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا وسيق الذين اتقوا ربهم إلى الجنة زمرا حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها حتى إذا جاءوها وفتحت أبوابها وقال لهم خزنتها سلام وقال لهم خزنتها سلام عليكم طبتم فادخلوها خالدين وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وقالوا الحمد لله الذي صدقنا وعده وأورثنا الأرض نتبوأ من الجنة حيث نشاء فنعم أجر العاملين فنعم أجر العاملين وترى الملائكة حافين من حول العرش يسبحون بحمد ربهم وقضي بينهم بالحق وقيل الحمد لله رب العالمين صدق الله العلي العظيم. الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Now for Ziyarat Ashura, Brother Muhammad Gharib, let's welcome up with Allah Salat ala Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بكيت وبقي الليل والنار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، سماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجان، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت والجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع الإمام المنصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب. وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم، وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم، وحرب لمن حاربكم، وولي لمن والاكم، وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام الهدى المهدي ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظم وأعظم رزية في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تنال منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابعا له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جادت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله، اللهم لعنهم جميعا 100 مرة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. Together. السلام وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا ثم لعن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا، ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيته. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Allah. Brothers and sisters, the discussion about astrology in Islam, Islam's position about astrology, astronomy, is a very, very deep and long discussion. And there's no way in like 2-3 minutes I can cover it all. But what I can do is simply tell you the difference, and maybe we can spark something with a few logical statements. Astrology is defined as a pseudoscience, not even a full science, that claims to divine information about human affairs and terrestrial events by studying the movements and relative positions of celestial objects. So put it this way, I leave the house at this time of the day, this time of the night, and the stars are aligned in a certain way. Does that necessarily mean that I have bad luck? Or if I go in my car, I'm going to get into a car crash? Or if I'm walking, a'udhu billah, get into an accident? Does that logically make sense to us? No. So it's simple as that. I mean, it's not as simple as that, but inshallah that maybe starts cooking something in your brain. Inshallah you can do some further research on this. Astronomy, on the other hand, is fully accepted by Ahlul Bayt and one of their favorite subjects, as evident by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in his school, and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam talking about it as a science that should be studied, and how, we know today that through studying astronomy and various celestial objects, we can get closer to understanding the origins of this universe. Okay? Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. There are many stars, and there were many, many stars, bright shining stars on the day of Karbala, and one that we remember today is Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan alayhi salam. Just a quick narration about him from, this is in Al-Bihar al-Anwar by Allama al-Majlisi, narrated from one of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, one of his companions. He says that one day he was walking, and he saw someone that used to be, keyword used to be, Sahib Jamal, meaning he used to be a beautiful man. He used to look really good. And then he asks him, what happened to you? I can barely recognize you. So he says, and the narration calls him a mal'oon, so you know where this is going. He said, on the day of Karbala, in the war against Imam Hussein alayhi salam, there was a boy who barely had any facial hair, and he had the mark of sujood that was zahir on his forehead. I killed him. Ever since that day, I could not get a good night's sleep. Why? Because this boy would show up in my dream every night, grab me by the collar, and throw me into Jahannam. And people around me, as in his neighbor in the city, they would hear him. They would hear as in the effects, as in him screaming from burning, because in the dream, the burning actually burnt him in real life. And so he walked around the city with a burnt face. Now, the person thought it was Al-Abbas alayhi salam, but in the commentary, he clarifies that it could either be Ali al-Akbar or Al-Qasim alayhi salam. But as we know, Al-Abbas alayhi salam was around 35, 36 years old, right? And Ali al-Akbar was 18, 19, some say 26. So therefore, it could only be Al-Qasim alayhi salam, or maybe someone else. Okay? Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Just a few announcements before we begin. You guys notice start time is 6:45. Inshallah, try to come early to get yourself a seat. There are surveys and reviews outside on the tables with clipboard on them. So every year we do this where we ask you guys for your feedback on the program, on the Quran, the ziyarah, the MC, the khatib, and we ask you guys to be as critical as you can. Myself, Sheikh Ahmad Sharara, all of us, we ask for you to be as critical as possible because this feedback we actually take into account, and inshallah we want to use this feedback to build a better program, not just Ashura, but for other programs throughout the year, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now for the Majlis, let's welcome up Sheikh Ahmad Bazzi with a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
على حب فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل. Some ask, why don't we say وَالسِّرُ الْمُسْتَوْدَعِ فِيهَا? The answer is, from our research, there is no riwayah that says وَالسِّرُ الْمُسْتَوْدَعِ فِيهَا. It seems as though that was added on by the people themselves. But for Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman, let's have a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Last one for Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan in your loudest voices. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى ابنك وابن أخيك القاسم ابن الحسن يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. For the love of Al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, let's have a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second for his aunt Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. And the last one for Abi Abdullah al-Husayn in your loudest voices. We are a very special generation, my brothers and sisters, in many different ways. One of them being that we are the second generation of immigrants to these great countries, these great lands. And I say great because it is from Sifatul Mu'min, it's from the attributes of the Mu'min to love their land, to love their country. Although it's not a Muslim country, at least to love the land that brought you up. We are the second generation living in this world here, the Western world. And we are special in that we have Eastern ideals at home, yet we live in a Western world and Western ideals. And so when we were young, and every day when we go back home, we live that Eastern lifestyle in the Western world. And similarly, from the time we were 4, and some of us up until today, 6+ hours a day, we were in a system that embedded us with Western ideals. Many people consider this to be a good thing, as I do, and I can agree, that you get the best of both worlds, but it comes at a cost. And that is when the two ideals, the two cultures, the two environments, the Eastern environment at home and the Western environment outside of the home, when they clash. Where one environment, where one set of ideals normalizes something, and the other set of ideals considers something to be taboo. This is where we have a problem, because then a person is caught in the middle. Person is caught lying to themselves a lot of the time, right? Because one thing is a taboo in one environment, one space, behind some walls, and then outside of that wall, outside of those walls, it's normalized and it's okay. So they live either a double life, they lie to themselves, or they're split between the two and they don't know where to go. This, my brothers and sisters, causes a great deal of issues, especially for the youth. Why? Because when something is a taboo topic, it's one thing to avoid, but then it's another thing to find the solution of that problem in the set of the other ideals, the Western ideals. But you can't tap into those solutions, you can't use them because you are afraid of the Eastern world that ultimately you live in, well, even if it's just at home. Best example of this, my brothers and sisters, is when a person needs counseling in their life, but they find it as a taboo, whether at home, at the mosque, wherever it may be, the place that these Eastern ideals find themselves to be most manifest. In this lecture, my brothers and sisters, just in brackets, this lecture is not about mental health. I really want to make this clear because frankly, I'm going to tell it to you honestly and everyone here is watching. I'm nobody to speak about mental health. And 95% of people that are on the pulpit are not those that are well engrossed in this ilm, this knowledge, to be speaking about it. Yes, it's great for our mosques to have professionals that speak about mental health, such as having a program where you have a panel of scholars and a panel of psychologists, of people that are engrossed in clinical discussion about this topic, mental health, and they both speak on the topic, one from a medical standpoint and one from tarbiyat an-nafs, a religious standpoint, not specifically targeting mental health as a topic, but in one way or another encouraging the mu'mineen to seek mental help when they need it. I am nobody to be speaking about mental health, and 95% of speakers are not there to be speaking about mental health. And the major problem that we face today is everyone says, speak about mental health. And all I can say as a person on this minbar is, seek mental help. That's my job. My job, ya ikhwan, is to tell you, go to Ahl al-Khibra. Seek mental help. Seek someone that can help you in whatever it is that you're going through. If it goes back to your mental health, seek that help. Because mental health and your actual health, physical health, are one and the same. I'm not here coming and talking to you about tuberculosis, nor am I here to speak about COVID-19, nor am I here to speak about other diseases that affect your physical health, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to talk about the problem because I'm not somebody that can tell you about the disease, about the issue. I don't know much about the problem. I don't know why it happens. I don't know the symptoms. But maybe we can talk about a solution. One of the best solutions, and it's in our ahadith, and it's the solution that many people need, but they're too scared to find, too scared to look out and go look for, rather. Counseling. Counseling. Finding a counselor, finding a therapist, someone to talk to about your problem, because sometimes the solution to the problem is not complicated. Sometimes it's so simple to find someone you can talk to. Find someone that can listen to you before it becomes more aggravated, before it grows into something that you really need to seek help for. Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, that little thing that's been nagging you for years and years, the solution to it from the very beginning was to talk to someone about it. Get it off your chest before it becomes a problem and what we call uqad. Issues, knots that you need to find a way to unravel. And that, it may not be just counseling, it may be something else later on. Today, my brothers and sisters, I want to talk about one of the solutions, not the only solution. There's many solutions. One of the solutions, and that is counseling. I want to tell you about my personal experiences. As your brother, I want to tell you about the experiences of other mu'mineen. And I want to discuss the issue to finally relieve ourselves of this taboo. Wallah, oh, Rahshaf, Hakim Nafsini. Adi. He went and saw a counselor. He went and saw a therapist. And what's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? I want to relieve ourselves of this taboo. Because wallah, many people went astray. Many people went down dark alleys and paths because they didn't have someone that would listen to them. So tonight, my brothers and sisters, I want to discuss this in light of Al-Qasim alayhi salam, the one who represents me and you and everyone here, Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan. I want to discuss this topic from many different aspects, many different angles, and hopefully arrive at a conclusion together. بحق Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jameel. First and foremost, my brothers and sisters, I want to make a distinction. There's a difference between somebody seeking counseling in its broad term and someone going and seeing a psychiatrist. They're two different things. Maybe one of the forms of therapy that a psychiatrist may use is counseling. But counseling is a little broader. When I say the word counseling, if you go search up the definition just from a linguistic standpoint, you can say it's split into two types. Professional counseling, or you call therapy. And then there's counseling between peers. When someone comes to you and says, listen, I have a problem. Someone comes to me, Ahmad, you're my friend. Forget Sheikh. Ahmad, you're my friend. I have a problem. I want to get your opinion. I want to know what to do. I want you just to hear me out. Just hear what's happening with me. And then tell me your thoughts. That in one way or another, it's counseling. That in one way or another, in a very broad sense, it's counseling. As for psychiatry, it does incorporate some elements of counseling, yes, some elements of therapy. But there is a clinical side to it, right? There's a clinical side to it. There's pharmaceutical side to it. And from experience, from what I saw, from speaking to both, from looking at both, I found that the therapist gives you more time. Counselor gives you more time. You sit with them, maybe have multiple different sessions, 4, 5, 6 different sessions with this person to finally arrive at a conclusion bit by bit. Whereas when I spoke to a psychiatrist, I felt that the overall mood was clinical. Overall mood was more clinical. What do you have? Do you have psychotic instances? Do you have manic depression? Do you think, or do you have thoughts of suicide? Do you have thoughts of hurting yourself? Etc., etc., etc. This person, the psychiatrist, is going down a more clinical path to see, does he need medication? Does she need medication? Do they need these different types of clinical solutions? Not saying that a psychiatrist is there to give you medication, no. But a counselor is there to give you some sort of gradual result after some therapy, some talking, which for a lot of us, that's what we need. Now, if your doctor comes and tells you, well, go see a psychiatrist, you may need medication. This is where, well, it's taboo. No, we should not take medication. 1 second. 1 second. Your doctor comes and says, you have X problem. I don't know what that X problem is. You have a problem. This is the issue. I need to refer you to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist sits down, and there are psychiatrists that really wants what's best for you, not there just to give out medication and get a check. No. Somebody that is actually wanting what's best for you in the community. They come tell you, you have this problem. Therapy is not going to fix it. You're hearing sounds. You have voices in the back of your head. Therapy is not going to fix it. Mathalan. You have an intense depression. Mathalan. That therapy will not fix. Therapy is not going to fix. Tells you, Allah, take these pills. Take these pills. Ask, what are the side effects? What are the side effects? Are there prescription medications that don't have these side effects? Mathalan. Make a rational decision. You're aqil. Make a rational decision in that moment. And listen to your doctor. Listen to your doctor. Are there alternative things that you must do or you can do? Go through those, fine. But if the last resort is medication, then take medication. You tell me, Ahmad, medication is bad for you. Who said that? I know some individuals in the community that take medication for depression, for intense depression, for whatever other issues that they have. And it normalizes them. It makes them not normal as in like there's a problem with them. No, but it normalizes their state. It normalizes their state in nafsi, as we say. Their psychological state. They feel like they can function. They feel like they're able to function, my brothers and sisters. And this is one example, 2, 3, 4, 5. But make a rational decision. Make a rational decision in that moment. Look at the pros, look at the cons. You're a mature adult. In that moment in time, make that rational decision. Consult physicians. Don't come to Ahmad Bazzi and say, Ahmad, is it haram? You know it's not haram. Does it mean my iman is low? In some instances, maybe. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Maybe this individual is unable to get out of the problem that they have because they're not turning to Allah. Maybe. But maybe sometimes no. That's not the situation. Why not get the best of both worlds? If you need medication, take it.
Take it with your doctor's advice. Take it, Ahl al-Khibra. But turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Turn to Allah. Ask yourself, is there a problem in my spiritual life? Is there a problem? Fix it. Get best of both worlds. Maybe this issue that you are having or I'm having is a wake-up call from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where the riwayat say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes may afflict a person with a problem that they feel there's no solution to, for them to turn back to Him. It's a rahmah. It's a rahmah. It's a rahmah. Turn to both, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes puts the cures in these physical things that we are scared to take. We are scared to embark on and use and utilize. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows His mercy to be at the hands of people and individuals and the natural world that He has given us. On this, my brothers and sisters, I want to prove to you from none other than Sayyid Sistani himself. Go back to Ahl al-Khibra. Who are Ahl al-Khibra? The people of knowledge in that respective field. Sayyid Sistani, when he comes and he speaks about business transaction, business, money, he gives an instance where, let's say I sold you something that has a problem. Wallah, I sold you a phone and the camera is not working. Or rather, I used your phone and I broke your camera. Like, what is there to do? Well, what's the solution here? Look at this fatwa. Look at this fatwa, and as we say, the details are where we want to stop at. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, and I'll explain. كيفية أخذ الأرش أن يقوم المبيع صحيحا ثم يقوم معيبا وتلاحظ النسبة بينهما ثم ينقص من الثمن المسمى بتلك النسبة فإذا قوم صحيحا كذا 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 ويرجع في معرفة قيمة الصحيح والمعيب إلى أهل الخبرة وتعتبر فيهم الوثاقة. So what is he saying here? He gives an example. He says, let's say I used your camera or used your phone for the camera مثلا. Your phone before I broke it was $1,000. After I broke it, it came out to be $800. How much do I owe you? I have to pay the value of the phone itself, the difference. Jamil. How do I know the value of the phone before it broke and after it broke? How do I know? I go back to Ahl al-Khibra. Who are Ahl al-Khibra? Ahl al-Khibra are people of knowledge in their respective fields. Do they have to be mu'mineen? No. وَتَعْتَبَرُ فِيهِمُ الْوَثَاقَةِ. Just that they're trustworthy. And it becomes wajib upon you to pay X amount. Let's say it was $400. Let's say. Not in this example, another example. Let's say it was $400. $400 becomes wajib to pay in accordance to what who? Ahlul Khibra said. Ahlul Khibra may not even be Muslimin. But it was that individual that had knowledge in their respective fields that made something wajib upon me with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Although they are not Muslimin. Similarly, when it comes to Al-Qibla, Ta'yin Al-Qibla, where do I pray to? Sayyid Sistani, he says, you are allowed to go back to Ahl Al-Khibra, someone that knows, as long as they are mawthuq, trustworthy, Muslim, non-Muslim, doesn't matter, as long as they know their field. Go back to the people of the field itself. Go back to the doctor. Come to Ahmad Bazzi, he'll give you a dua from Mafatih al-Jinan, ahla wa sahla fik, but then I'll tell you, hey, listen, do you know that guy? He's a psychiatrist, go talk to him. He's a counselor, she's a counselor, go talk to her. This dua is great. It will help you inshaAllah. But similarly, I'll give you a dua for your knee hurting. In Mafatih al-Jinan, there's du'as for your knee hurting. But I'll tell you, go see a doctor. Maybe you need a surgery. Why is this one hard to understand and that one not hard to understand? It's very simple. It's the same idea. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jameel. You tell me, Ahmad, طيب, is there a riwayah? Are there riwayat that speak about counseling? It's a good question. Are there riwayat that speak about counseling in some way? In reference to counseling. I'll tell you, there are riwayat that speak about counseling, even in the broader sense. Absolutely. Listen to this riwayah. I'm saying in the broader sense, the broadest sense. Yes. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, Man shaka ila akhih, faqad shaka ila Allah. The one who speaks to their brother about what's happening with them, the issue that they are going through, ash-shakwa, even if it's just complaining, I don't want you to give me a solution, just listen to me. Just listen. Man shaka ila akhi ka'annama shaka ila Allah. It's as if you're complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about your problems. There's this common phrase, ash-shakwa ila ghayr Allah madhalla. This common figure of speech amongst people. If you complain to other than Allah, you're humiliating yourself. One second. To complain to other than Allah, humiliating yourself, assuming that it's a riwayah from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Here Allah Ta'ala is saying, hey, you want to complain to me? Fine, go find a mu'min. Go find one of your brothers. Sit him down and say, listen, I'm having this problem, mathalan, with my wife. Assuming that it's okay to speak about your marital issues with a friend. And you and your wife have discussed this. Mathalan. Or there's a mubarrir shar'i for such a thing. You're having a problem with your parents. Talk to someone. It's not a problem. It's not wrong. Yes, assuming there's a mubarrir shar'i for this. Shar'an, you're allowed to speak of these things that are happening in your own personal life. Jameen. Another riwayah, anhu alayhi salam. حق على العاقل أن يضيف إلى رأيه رأي العقلاء ويضم إلى علمه علوم الحكماء. Another riwayah says, the right of the intellectual person is that they put beside what they see, what they are understanding the situation to be, someone else's opinion. And they add on to their knowledge from the knowledge of al-hukama, the wise. What's the difference between someone who's knowledgeable and someone who's wise? The wise person is a person that knows where to put something in its rightful place. As in, how to say something, how to direct you in a situation. Not just has knowledge, has a riwayah. He knows, wallah, there's a riwayah here. But maybe that riwayah doesn't apply here. Maybe that riwayah is not one that you need to speak of now. Maybe your knowledge, what you know, this fact that you have right now, this is not the right place for it. The Hakim is the one that is able to tap into the knowledge they have and the experience that they have and convey these facts, this information to the right person in the right way. That's a counselor. That's a counselor. They've seen a situation similar to this. They've studied this situation. They have knowledge from studying. And they have what? Experience. They have experience. To break the taboo even more, this is Mimbar Abi Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Allah wa Majlis Abi Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed this low individual and sitting on this mimbar. And I don't deserve it. But I'll tell you, my brothers and sisters here and today, and I have absolutely no problem saying this in front of everyone. Adi, I don't care. Your brother has gone through issues. Ahmad Bazzi has gone through issues just the same way you have. And Ahmad Bazzi has sought counseling. No problem. Counseling with a sheikh, yes. Counseling with my brothers, absolutely. Counseling with a professional, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Ahmad Bazzi has sought counseling. With a professional, yes. Absolutely. Did I pay from my own money? Yes. Neeh aktar min hek? Yes. Wallah, Ahmad, you have social anxiety. Why? I speak to my brothers, they'll help me. I'll speak to those, Sheikh, Allama, they'll help me. At one point, I need to speak to someone that understands these things. Let me talk to them. Let me talk to this counselor. What's the problem with that? What's the issue? I have a problem, yani. I messed up. Let the people think I'm messed up. Let me be messed up for a day, but not messed up for my entire life and destroy everything that I've built for myself. What's the problem with that? Be brave about it. Be okay with it. But here's one thing. Don't use it as a crutch. Don't say, Wallah, my situation, my mental state is this, and use it as a crutch. No, it's not how it works. Be real with yourself that you may need help, but be real with yourself about your situation. I had a woman one time come and tell me, Ahmad, I have this mental situation that I'm going through, whatever it is, and I can't pray. Why? Wallah, I lay in my bed and then I feel as though I can't get up and pray. So I told her, you can get up and pray, because I know you. But if you can't get up and pray, you can't. Bilmarra, yani your legs are not holding you whatsoever. Yani you're literally unable to get up. Let's just say. Then you can pray from your bed. Face the Qibla and pray from your bed. Yani I'm just going with you and I know you can get up. But don't use it as a crutch. My mental state does not allow me to pray. No, you are able to pray. Your mental state is not that much of a hindrance for you. And there's no excuse to leave a salat. There's no excuse to leave the wajibat. And if it's that much of a hindrance for you or anyone else, then it's wajib to seek help. أكتر من هيك. It's wajib shar'an. Shar'an wajib to seek help. If it's hindering your ability to commit or to do the wajib, then it's wajib to seek help in bab al-muqaddimah. It's a term in fiqh. You have to. أكتر من هيك. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. And the fact of the matter is, my brothers and sisters, sometimes we run away from something that's in front of our eyes. You lived a great life. What do you need counseling for? You have everything going for you. What do you need counseling for? Brothers and sisters, let's not run away from the reality. Sometimes it's not something that happened to me now, but the fruits of it are coming out now. Somebody told me this. He said, Ahmad, sometimes it's not about what's happening now. The fruit is coming and showing itself now. But it goes back to something before. And one time, I heard one of my relatives speaking. He said, I found that after marriage, when you have life and all of its weight on your back, after marriage, that's when your issues from before they come about, they surface there. Whether it's because of the tension or the stress or the weight of responsibility, whatever it may be, but it comes out in these tense situations. And it could destroy your marriage, could destroy your life. Where does it come back to? Where does it stem back to? You may not be able to know. But the fact of the matter is, my brothers and sisters, go back to research. Things such as abuse. Abuse when a person was a child. Or something as simple as lack of love. These things can really put someone in a situation later on in their lives where their voids push them to do something that it's not in their character to do. And that's why riwayat Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and this is for you inshallah when you're future parents. The riwayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are adamant on how to treat your child. How to treat your child. How do you treat your kid? You have a kid, khayya. What do you do? He does something bad, she does something bad. What do you do? How do you act? How to react? For example, riwayah that says, don't discipline when you're angry. Don't discipline when you're angry. Because when you're disciplining, you think you're disciplining, but you're not. You're taking revenge. You're being vengeful. Don't discipline when you're angry. Mathalan, riwayah, a man comes to Rasulullah. Look at this riwayah. Look at this riwayah. Tell me lack of love is just something petty. No, listen to this riwayah. A man comes to Rasulullah and he says, Ya Rasulullah, عم بيفتخر يعني بعد شوي. Ya Rasulullah, I never kissed my son. I never kissed my son. Wallah, why? Because our men have to be these emotionless logs. That's what we have to be. Emotionless logs. That's what we are. Yeah? I never kissed my son. The man walks away. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, this man is from the people of hell. This man, Andi, he says, this man with me is from the people of hell. There's correlation. The riwayah is telling you now there's a correlation. Another man comes to Imam Ar-Rida alayhi salam. He says, my son is doing this, my son is doing that. Yashki ibnahu lil Imam. He complains about his son to the Imam. The Imam alayhi salam tells him three things. La tadribhu. Don't hit him. Wahjurhu. Leave him alone. Let him see that you're angry with him. Let the love that he has for you bring him back to you. But then he says, وَلَا تُطِلْ. But not for a long period of time. If he doesn't come back to you, go back to him. These are riwayat Ahl al-Bayt. This is Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. These are riwayat Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam. Don't hit him. In other riwayat, yes, it says discipline physically in some situations. But even in those riwayat, it gives you certain guidelines and limits to go on in accordance to. But he says, لا تضربه. Don't hit him. وَهْجُرْهُ. Leave him for a little bit. Let his own conscience, let his love for you, child's love for their mother, for their father is immense. Let that love that he has embedded in him or in her, let that push them to come back to you when he sees that you turned your back away from him. But if he doesn't, you go back. Let your love be the one to speak to the child. Let your love be the one that speaks to the child, my brothers and sisters. These are the riwayat Ahl al-Bayt. This is Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And what do we know about Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad? For their love, sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. But according to the same pattern, my brothers and sisters, I don't want to take longer than this. But I want to leave you with one thing. Please, listen to this, very important. For your life, for your future, huh? With the pattern that we've been going with, protect yourself from something before you fall and try to find a solution. This is what Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam teach us. Okay. So under that same pattern, under the same law, find a way to protect yourself before something happens. Like, what do I mean? A lot of the times, and I'm no expert, but from my limited knowledge about this topic, a lot of the times, people compensate for voids that they have in certain ways and act out in a certain manner. And later on they say, what is wrong with me? And then they seek counseling. 1 second. Think to yourself right now, just think to yourself, what are some of these voids that I may have? And these voids come in 3. One of 3 or could be more. But these 3 are most prevalent. Number 1, that void could stem from your parents. That void, your relationship with your parents. That void can stem from your relationship with your friends or peers, others around you. And lastly, my brothers and sisters, that void can stem from wanting a companion. A guy wanting to get married, a girl wanting to, and that void, my brothers and sisters, the last one is natural. Adi. It's natural. It's a natural void human beings have. And that's what pushes us to get married. Like that last one, put it aside because it's natural. That's natural. Find a spouse that is right for you, and that void to some degree is filled. To some degree it's filled. But don't let that void allow you to jump into a relationship that's not good for you. Look for the attributes. Don't skip over. Don't say, no, she's the one. She's not one. She's not the one. He's the one. No, he's not the one. There's others. There's someone else that has the qualities. Don't get into a relationship that you will not want to be in 10 years. Because, wallah, no, I can't because there's no one else. Who said there's no one else? Why is there no one else? There's no one else because you can't see anyone else. Look for the qualities. What are they? Akhlaq. Brothers and sisters, please put away your phones. This is for you. Akhlaq. Deen. These 2. And lastly, kafa'ah. She's equal to you. He's equal to you. What do you mean equal? Equal in terms of social status? Sure. Equal in terms of education? Sure. Equal in terms of maturity? Absolutely. These qualities that we're looking for someone in, these are the qualities that we look for. If they don't have deen, they don't have akhlaq, put them aside. Wa'adi. It's not wrong. طيب, that is the void of companionship. Put that one aside. Void of friendship. There are those that are lonely. They have a hard time in social gatherings and social settings making friends, and that's okay. That's a skill. People have it, some people don't. It's not bad. It's not wrong. But don't fill that void with the wrong person. Don't fill it with the wrong person. Just as others have filled it with the wrong person and went astray. Don't fill it with the wrong person. I'll tell you a story. A teacher that I know, teaches in school, yani. He had a student. This student was away from all the other students. He used to sit in the beginning of the class or the front of the class. Quiet. But smart to the max. Yani smart like to a point where the teacher was intimidated by the student. I'm sure the student was maybe like 10, 11, 12, hekshi. Huh? Intimidated by that student. Until that student one day wanted to fill that void. So what did he do? He started to mix around with the other students in the class that would accept him. So he started to goof around for them to accept him. He started to do drugs for that person, these people to accept him. Started to smoke for this group of people to accept him until teacher says, I don't even know where this guy is anymore. And he fell off the face of earth. We don't know where he is. Don't fill a void with the wrong person, my brothers and sisters. And then the last one, because of my time, your parents. Here, pay attention. Don't fill someone else in the place of your mother and father. I'm not telling you this because, wallah, you guys are young and you need your parents. No. Even if you're 30, if you're 40, don't fill someone else in the place of your parents. You know why? Because to everyone else, you're expendable. He can tell you, she can tell you, you're my son, you're my daughter from today until ba'ad bukra. You are expendable. They don't have to carry you. But your father and mother have to carry you. Not because God said so, because they are unable to see a piece of them fall and not bend down to pick them up. Don't you ever look to anyone. Don't you ever look to anyone to fill the void of your father, especially for the brothers, and to fill the void of your mother, especially for the sisters. Because we're closest to these individuals in terms of our day-to-day, because they understand us. Men understand men. Women understand women. The struggles of being a man and struggles of being a woman. Don't you ever fill your father's shoes with someone else, because you're expendable. Adi. They'll love you and love you and love you and love you until it gets to a point where you do something that is wrong, mathalan, or khalas, there's no need for you to be in their life anymore. Something happens for whatever reason, you become expendable. Adi. They walk out or you walk on them. It's normal. They won't run after you. But your father will always run after you. And I'll tell you something my father said to me. Wise man. And I'm sharing to you, my brothers and sisters, this piece of advice from him. He says, and this was a while back, he says, Ahmad, listen, I see you walking and walking and walking. When you turn right, I would watch you. When you turn left, I would watch you. بس أنا قاعد طلع فيك. I'm watching you. Seeing, is he still walking? As long as he's walking, I'm good. ما بتدخل. Walking. When you fall, or if you fall, and this is for your son, Ahmad, keep this for your son. If you fall, then I'm going to be there, put you on my back, Tara, and I'll keep walking with you. That's the difference between a father and somebody that is in the place of your father. You know why? Because if you fall, nobody says that person in the place of your father is going to put you on his back and keep walking. But your father will put you on his back and keep walking. Your mother will put you on your back and keep on her back and keep walking. You're expendable to everyone else except your mother and father. Don't keep secrets from them. Brothers, I know this. I know. I was in your place. Guys, don't keep secrets from your father. Don't keep them. It's a relationship, something in school, whatever it is. Even mistakes that you've committed. Tell your parents, tell your mom, tell your dad. Guys, you're more comfortable with your dad, tell your dad. Girls, you're more comfortable with your mother, no problem. If exchangeable, exchange, adi. Guy, tell your mom. Girl, tell your dad, adi, no problem. But don't keep secrets from them, because it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Don't put someone to fill the void of your parents, because they're not going to be there for you. As much as they say, I will, they won't. Your parents. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You tell me one last thing, Ahmad, who is the person that I should seek counseling from? Even professionally. I'll tell you this. Go back to the riwayat and they'll tell you exactly who to take counseling from. The first, let them be a mu'min, a mu'mina. What do you mean? Professionally, mu'mina? Yes. Are they available? They are. In Windsor, absolutely. Come to the mosque and we'll tell you who. Professionals, they have an office there. But let them be a mu'mina or mu'min. The riwayah says, look, عن الإمام عليه السلام من شكى الحاجة إلى المؤمن فكأنه شكاها إلى الله. The one that complains to the mu'min, it's as if they've complained to Allah, they turn to Allah. ومن شكاها إلى الكافر فكأنما شكى الله. And the one that turns to the kafir, the person who's not a mu'min, not a Muslim, it's as if they're complaining about Allah to that person. What does that mean? What are the benefits? Simply put, the mu'min understands who you are, understands how you work, understands your culture, understands your religion. I'm having a problem, mathalan, in my relationship. They're not going to tell me to take a turn that is haram. They're not going to try and convince me to do something that's haram. I'm having a problem with my parents. The counselor is not going to tell me, no, you have to be free in your life and it's affecting your mental state. These big, huge words to tell me, wallah, what? Live your life. 1 second. Go to someone that understands how you work in your own home, how your family works. And have them tell you, look, this is what you do. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen somebody go to a Muslim, a Shi'i, who is a psychiatrist, a counselor, etc., and they point them in the right direction. And I'm like, wow, this person, if he came to me, I may not have put him in that right direction, the right direction that he's in right now. But when he went to the council, that was a Shi'i, that was a mu'min, that was a Muslim. They pointed in the right direction. Mu'min, make sure it's a mu'min. If there is, go for a mu'min. If not, that's another discussion. It's another discussion. In Windsor, is there a psychiatrist that's a mu'min, Muslim? Yes. Come, I'll give you the number. Not in front of everyone. I'll give it to you on the side. Are there counselors, therapists in Windsor here that are Muslimin, mu'mineen? Yes. I'll give you their contact. Just come. Number one, let them be a mu'min. Number two, make sure they're religious. Fine. That is given. But one thing, and this is in the professional world or even just in your interactions with your friends, make sure they're impartial. What do I mean by impartial? Their desires or their love for you, mathalan, their friendship with you does not stop them from telling you what you need to hear. Look at this riwayah from Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, إنما حض على المشاورة لأن رأي المشير صرف ورأي المستشير مشوب بالهوى. Allah only told us to find someone to talk to bounce ideas off of, to speak our issues to and get their thoughts, bounce ideas off of them and bounce our issues off of them. Why? Because the person asking for advice, their issues, their thoughts are mixed with their desires and emotions, while the other person is not looking from the same lens you're looking from. Sarf. They're just listening and analyzing. Make sure the person that you're talking to, whether it's a friend, a counselor, but mostly this applies to your friend or somebody that you trust, a confidant, make sure they're impartial. You don't know how many times I went to one of my brothers, one of my friends, and I said to him, listen, I'm going through this problem, and I complain and I rant. And he looks at me and he says, Ahmad, but don't you think the issue is actually like this and you played a role? And I sit back and I say, yeah. Yes, I played a role. Aside from someone else that I'll ask and be like, yeah, man, everyone is hurting you. Everyone's out to get you. You're a victim. What is this guy helping me with? What is he helping me with? How is he helping me? No, the person that you go back to, let them be impartial. And if your friends are not like that, come to someone that will be impartial with you. Whether it's a scholar, whether it's a sheikh, or a person of authority. Some individual of authority. A big brother figure. Sit them down. Be like, listen, this is my issue. Tell me. And there are a lot of those, by the way. A lot of those. The sisters in the back, look around you. You'll have some sisters in last year university that have been through what you're going through. They're trustworthy, people of religion, deen, akhlaq. They'll keep these issues to themselves. Ask them, talk to them. Even if it's not someone from the hawza. Come here. There's people here, but if you're not comfortable here for whatever reason, if you don't want to be here for whatever reason, you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody that's 40, 50, fine. Okay, no problem. We'll point you in the direction of somebody that can help you. Similarly, if you're a guy, okay, come, talk. Your friends are not going to help you. Come, let me talk. Maybe my experiences, the Sheikh's experience, Sheikh Imam's experience, whoever it is, will help you. We're human beings too. We're human beings too. We go through issues, we go through problems. Right? This is very important. This is very important for your life, for your future. Everything that I said today, my brothers and sisters, please take it with a grain of salt, sure, but think about it, because it's very important. And I can't stress that enough. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And lastly, one last thing that I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, one last piece of advice. Don't forget Allah. Don't forget to turn to Allah. Don't forget to complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the riwayah says, look at this riwayah. It says, إِذَا ضَاقَ الْمُسْلِمِ فَلَا يَشْكُو رَبَّهُ وَلْيَشْكِ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ مَقَالِيدُ الْأُمُورِ وَتَدْبِيرِهَا وتدبيرها عفوا تدبيرها. He says, look at this. He says, if the mu'min, if the person is going through, the Muslim is going through a problem, don't complain your Lord to others. Don't say, Allah did this to me. No. Complain to Allah. Why? Because that same person, that same individual, that same being rather, that you're complaining to is the one that has the ability to make it all go away. Even with time, He's the one that is able to give you the solution. And that's why Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam, when he lost Yusuf, what did he say? He says, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. I complain to Allah for what's happening to me, my sorrow. And then he says, وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And I know of Allah, I know about Allah that which you don't know. What does that mean? I know about Allah that which you do not know. One of the meanings that you can try to derive, is that I know that Allah Ta'ala is able to change this. I know Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's ability to change everything in a day's time, in a week's time, in a month's time, in a year's time. And ultimately, who came back to Nabi Yaqub? Yusuf. Nabi Yusuf returned back to Yaqub. Yaqub didn't go running to Yusuf. Yusuf eventually came back to Yaqub. He told him, come to me, come to Egypt. But ultimately there was Nabi Yusuf coming back to Yaqub alayhi salam. Go back to Allah, but don't forget what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with. And then we go back to 2 nights before, what did we say? What did we say? The blessings that God has given you, use it for akhirah. وَابْتَغِ فِي مَا آتَاكَ الدَّارِ الْآخِرَةِ. Do you see that this ayah, please go back to the ayah and read it. Put it on your desktop, put it in your room, I don't care, but read it all the time. Try your best to remember it. It goes back to everything that we're going to be talking about. وَابْتَغِ فِي مَا آتَاكَ. What God has given you. الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةِ وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. Naam. And if you feel that the only mushtaka, the only person that you can complain to is Allah, then turn to someone else that will hear you. Your father. You tell me, okay, what if I'm not my father? No, 1 second, you misunderstood who I was talking about. Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman alayhi salam. For we are all his orphans, and these are the riwayat of Ahlul Bayt, that we are Aitam Ali Muhammad. We are the orphans of Ali Muhammad, and he is our father alayhi salamullah. He's the one that will pick you up if you fall. He will not turn away from you like others will. Even if your own mother and father turn away from you, He will pick you up. Turn to the Imam of your time. Just as Al-Qasim, when he lost Al-Hasan, he turned to the Imam of his time, Abi Abdullah Al-Husayn alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Just like Al-Qasim, he lost Al-Hasan. He was young, very young actually, maybe a few years old, when he lost his father Al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. He turned to who? Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Wallah, because he's his uncle. He's his uncle. But if he wasn't his uncle, he'll still turn to him. Because he's the Imam of the time. He's the father. He is the father. Even though yesterday he lost his father, he is the father. He was the father. He will be the father. Naam, Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam and Al-Qasim. They had a special relationship. That special father-son relationship, yes. And you see it from how Abi Abdullah al-Hussein reacts when he sees Al-Qasim walking towards him, asking for permission to fight. Naam, my brothers and sisters, tonight we remember Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, the young prince of Karbala, the one who was in the age of getting married, the one that had hopes for this world, but all of those hopes were dashed when he saw one scene in Karbala. What was that scene? When he saw Imam al-Hussein stand alone after the death of his loyal friends and family. He looks at the plains of Karbala. All the Imam could see were the dead bodies and the sea of soldiers ready to kill him. He just lost his son Ali al-Akbar, who was the first to fight from his family. He stands and looks in the distance and screams, "Wa ghurbata wa qillata nasra ama min mu'in yu'inuna أما من ناصر ينصرنا." How little number of supporters we have. Is there anyone who will help us? Is there anyone who will support us? Isn't there anyone who will defend us? The voice of the Imam echoes through the camp and into the desert with no response. All of the sun and the Imam spots a young man walking towards him. Who was this young boy? It was Al-Qasim, son of Al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. He was a young boy, no older than 15 years of age. If Abu al-Fadl was the moon in his magnificence, Al-Qasim would have been a piece of the moon, walking in the shoes of a young man. He walked towards the Imam just like his father used to walk. When the Imam saw him, he hugged his nephew. He hugged his nephew, knowing why Al-Qasim came to him. The narrations say they both cried and cried until they fainted. It's as if the Imam let out all his pain and all his sorrows and all that loss on that day, as he held on to Al-Qasim. When they woke up, Al-Qasim says, "Ammi ya Aba Abdullah, la taqata li ala al-baqa, wa qad ra'aytu dabha akhwani wa araka wahida." Uncle, I don't have energy to stay here while I see my cousins and brothers slaughtered, and I see you all by yourself. The Imam looked at him and said, "Ya ibn akhi, anta al-wadi'. Oh, son of my brother, your father entrusted me with you. You're the trust of Imam al-Hasan to me, ya Qasim." It's as if he says, "You're what's left of my brother Qasim. How can I send you into the battlefield knowing you won't return?" But the Imam knew he would return, but not in the way that he sent him. Al-Qasim kept on kissing the Imam's hands and feet, pleading him to let him fight between his hands. The Imam said to him, Ya waladi, atamshi birijlika ila al-maut. My son, are you going to walk towards your own death? So he said to him, how could I not do so, my uncle, when you're by yourself and you have no one to support you, no one to help you? May my soul be sacrificed for yours, and may I protect you, Ya Amma. In a narration, Al-Qasim brings a letter to Imam al-Hussein. The Imam opens the letter, and the letter was from Imam al-Hassan. It said in it, he said to him, this is my father Hassan's will. When he opened it, Imam al-Hassan wrote to Imam al-Hussein, or Imam al-Hassan wrote to Al-Qasim. He said to him, my son Qasim, if you see your uncle Hussein alone in Karbala, don't show any negligence in his support. He says, my mother has given me my sword and helped me into my armor, so give me permission to fight, Ya Aba Abdullah. Seeing the will from Imam al-Hassan, the Imam gave his nephew permission to fight. But Al-Qasim was a young man who wanted to marry soon. He was the young prince of Karbala, the young groom of Karbala. The Imam was getting his son ready to fight. Instead of giving Al-Qasim the white cloak to wear in his wedding, he dressed him up in a shroud, his kafan. Instead of giving the boy a bright turban to wear in his celebration, he gave the boy a helmet to wear. Instead of preparing the boy's face for his wife, the Imam covered the face of Al-Qasim because he's about to go into the deserts alone. Ajarakum Allah. Al-Qasim was now ready to fight. He came down to the battlefield. Hamid ibn Muslim says, a boy came towards us, but his face, it was beautiful as if it was part of the moon. When he went down to the battlefield, some of the enemies said, did we not kill Ali al-Akbar? Who's this young boy? Does Al-Hussein have another son that we don't know of? So Al-Qasim said, introducing himself, Im tankuruni فأنا ابن الحسن سمط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن. If you don't know me, then know I am the son of Hassan, the grandson of the chosen prophet. This is Hussein, like a captive between people who I ask Allah not to bring upon them rain. Just like his father before him, he went down into the battlefield, courageous, strong, fearless. Al-Hassan would have been proud to see his young fighting like he did, his young son fighting the way he did. Imagine Imam Al-Hassan seeing this boy who reminded him of everything that Imam Al-Hassan was. Imagine Imam Al-Hussein seeing him after losing Imam Al-Hassan. This man, this boy, fighting for Banu Hashim like Imam Al-Hassan alayhi salam. Al-Qasim was controlling the battlefield. He killed 35 men, although not fighting on a horse. He was showing the people how courageous Imam Al-Hassan truly was. But ajarakum Allah, as he was in the battlefield, his sandal snapped. Seeing that it snapped, Al-Qasim didn't want to continue fighting barefoot. When he felt he had a chance to bend down and fix the lace, he did so. He bent down, seeing that there was no one around him. Ajarakum Allah. Seeing this, the men that had no honor, had no limits, They said, Wallah, لأشدن عليه وأذكلن به أمه. By Allah, I'm going to attack him and make his mother feel the loss of her son. Hamid ibn Muslim turned to the man. He said, what do you want of this boy? By Allah, if he hit me, I wouldn't hit him back. Isn't it enough that you cut him off from his uncle? The man replied, by Allah, I will pursue him. As Al-Qasim was bent down, the man came from behind Al-Qasim. He hit Al-Qasim on the back of his head. Al-Qasim fell. He split the head of Al-Qasim. Al-Qasim fell, so the enemies ganged up on Al-Qasim. A man split his belly. Another stabbed him in his back with a spear, making it come from the other side. Allahu Akbar. Didn't they see he was a young man? Didn't they see he was just a child? Al-Qasim screamed, Adrikni ya Amma, uncle, save me. The Imam rushed to the rescue of the boy, but it was too late. He was on the ground, bloody, with his stomach open, a hole in his chest, his head split in two. When the Imam came to him, he was alive, shaking in the sand. It's as if the Imam says to him, Qasim, you were the light of my eye. You were the smell of my brother. Qasim, it hurts me that you called me and I can answer you. When the dust settles, the Imam was seen standing over the boy. He was moving his hands and feet in the sand. He said to him, بعدا لقوم قتلوك أعز والله على عمك أن تدعوه فلا يجيبك أو يجيبك ثم لا ينفعك صوت والله كثر واتره وقل ناصره. It's heavy on my heart that you call on your uncle and he doesn't come to his rescue, and he doesn't come to your rescue. And if he came, he couldn't do anything to save you. Your cries, Qasim, hold more hurt than peace. Your cries, Ya Qasim, hold more hurt than peace.
السلام عليك يا عماه يا أبا عبد الله. عم يا حسين، لقد ضاق صدري وسأمت الحياة. ألا ترى الأطفال يبكون من شدة العطش؟ ألا ترى الرضيع وقد جف اللبن في ثدي أمه؟ عماه، والله لا طاقة لي على البقاء في الخيمة. عماه، هذه وصية أبي الحسن، قال: إذا رأيت عمك وحيدا فريدا في كربلاء فلا تقصر في نصرته، فهل تأذن لي بالقتال؟ فدتك نفسي يا عماه. إن تنكروني فأنا نجل الحسن، صبت النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن. هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن، بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن. يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
All of us together, my brothers and sisters, we know this latmiyyah. All of us together for Al-Qasim alayhi salamullah. يوم ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب من العريس محروم حنيتي دم المصاب شمعة شبابي مني طفوها حنيتي دمي والجفن دار التراب يوم ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب يوم ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب من العريس محروم حنيتي دم المصاب شمعة شبابي مني طفوها حنيتي دمي والجفن ذار التراب يوم ذكريني من تمر زف شباب من ثدي النيبة راضعي صافي الحليم وبها الشهادة صار لي قسم ونصيب من ثدي النيبة راضعي بصافي الحليب وبها الشهادة صار لي قسم ونصيب حفيتي بدمي خلهم يفرشوها حنيتي دمي والجفن ذار التراب يوم ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب يوم ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب من العريس محروم حنيتي دم المصاب شمعة شبابي من يطفها حنيتي دمي والجفن تراب يوم ذكريني من تمر يوم المبارك أصبح الدين شهيد وافزع العمي من يظل بالطف وحيد
رملة بمصابي خلي واسوها حنيتي دمي والجفن ثاري تراب يما ذكريني من تمر زف الشباب يما ذكريني من تمر زف الشباب من العريس محروم حنيتي all of you صاب شمعة شبابي من يطفوها حنيتي دمي والجفن ذاري تراب يما ذكريني من تمر زفت شباب نسألك اللهم بشباب القاسم نسألك اللهم بضياء وجه القاسم نسألك اللهم بصرخة القاسم يوم الطفوف تقبل منا هذا القليل يا الله accept this little from us يا الله forgive us for our sins يا الله make us from the supporters of Abi Abdullah from the supporters of Al-Qasim son of Hassan make us from the supporters of صاحب الأمر والزمان يا الله يا الله بحق محمد وآل محمد forgive us for our sins, our shortcomings يا الله make our parents, our Imam proud of us يا Allah satisfied with us يا رب العالمين give us our needs and desires in this world يا Allah if anybody has a need ask now by Al-Qasim by the youth of Al-Qasim Ya Allah everyone that asked me for dua, those that are here, those that are not here, give them what they desire in this world and in the akhirah. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Let's turn to Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman in these blessed nights with dua al-Faraj, all of us together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه آبائه في هذه الساعة وليا وقائدا يا الله ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآله رحم الله من قرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء والعلماء ولمن مات على حب محمد وآله والولاء تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين أحسن الله إليكم حبيبي الله يسلمك أحسن الله إليكم أيدكم الله. Before I begin with the question and answers for today, as Brother Hussein was saying, we have outside papers we pretty much give out every year just for your own criticisms, your own thoughts about the program, positive, negative, whatever it may be, things that you want more, things you want less of. Maybe in my own lectures I touched on something that you felt was maybe not in the right place, or I said something that you disagreed with, etc. That's good for myself, because I'm constantly growing. I'm not perfect. And neither are any of us here. We want to know your feedback. We want to know what you think. What are your thoughts about the ziyarah? What are your thoughts about the Quran? What are your thoughts about Hussein's lectures or discussions, or the words that he has in the beginning? Anything, please tell us. Tell us. Do this, do that. Pros, cons, no problem. Be respectful, طبعا. Don't say Ahmad مثلا is a loser, right? That's not cool. Well, if you want to, it's up to you. يعني. But don't say Hussein is a loser مثلا. Be respectful, yeah? But give us your honest thoughts, okay? صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. About the question about astrology. I read that question like 4 days ago, okay, and I just haven't had time to actually bring the answer from halal haram perspective. Allah Hussein answered it from the perspective of whether these actual events in the skies are changing things on earth. Okay, put that aside. Let's talk haram halal. Sayyid Sistani in his book Minhaj al-Salihin, he says at-tanjim haram. So looking at the skies and predicting what is to come in the future is haram, just by merely looking at the skies and thinking that this will affect the future. But in which way is it haram, ya Sayyid? He says, وهو الإخبار عن الحوادث مثل الرخص والغلاء كذا استنادا إلى الحركات الفلكية والطوارئ الطارئة على الكواكب. He defines التنجيم. He says, it's by looking at the stars, looking at the sky, the events that happens in the sky, and according to that, telling the future of what is to happen, whether it is your own personal life, economical, ups and downs, etc. من الاتصال بينها والانفصال والاقتران ونحو ذلك باعتقاد تأثيرها على الحادث. When you believe that these things actually play a role, how? على وجه الاستقلال أو الاشتراك مع الله تعالى. Thinking that these things play a role in the realities around us, in the events that occur around us, the future, etc. Aside from the will of Allah, the permission of Allah, or with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's when it becomes haram. That's when it becomes haram to depend on the skies, depend on the stars, the planets, and how they are aligned to tell the future. If it comes as a belief that these events that happen in the sky, they are aside from the ordinances, the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is there a need, or do I advise to go back to these? Not really, to be honest, because a lot of the times we create our own present and we create our own future. مثلا, the person that says, well, I'm not going to go out today to a job interview, wallah, because I'm cancer or something. I don't know how it works, to be honest. But I am this, and this coincides with this, and so therefore I'm not going to go. Well, you lost an opportunity, and you lost it for yourself. But go. See what happens. Don't limit yourself with these things, because a lot of the times it becomes placebo. A lot of times you create your own future and your own presence, or your own present, afwan, by your thoughts, by how you perceive things. La, tawakkal ala Allah and go. Okay? Do tawakkul and go. Yes, there are riwayat that says, mathalan, when the stars are in a certain way, I think Burj al-Aqrab, these terms that are found in the world of astrology. Some of them have come up in the riwayat, where if, I think al-Qamar, the moon, it's in a certain phase, it's makruh مثلا to do certain acts. It's makruh to get married مثلا. الزواج, عقد الزواج فيه عندما يكون القمر في برج العقرب مكروه مثلا. This is in the riwayat, right? Unless it's in the riwayah, don't depend on it. Tawakkal ala Allah and go about your business, and don't depend on these things. It's best for you. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Is it possible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to speak to you directly in a dream? In terms of it being a possibility, as in possible or impossible, well, it's happened before, therefore we know it's possible, just in terms of possibility. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did communicate with Nabi Ibrahim through a dream. That was a method of wahi. That was revelation. Human beings don't have wahi in the same way Anbiya have wahi. Yes. Is it possible, just a mere possibility? Mumkin al-wujud, it's possible. Does it happen in the real world? Does it actually happen? Does it manifest? I can't tell you yes, I can't tell you no. But possibility, yes. But the problem is, Let's say you had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some way communicate something to you in a dream. Well, how do you know this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually speaking to you? And not, wallah, you had a pizza before you slept and you had a weird dream. Right? A lot of the times it's hard to decipher a dream where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually communicating with a human being. In a dream where it's just the regular, normal things that our brains, the cycles that our brain goes through. Or that you're thinking very hard about this thing before you sleep, so you see it in your dream. Right? So it's a hard way to decipher. And that's why if a marja' مثلا, he sees a dream. He sees a dream of Imam telling him, مثلا, it's haram to do this, without actually giving him a riwayah saying, wallah, go back to this book and you'll find the riwayah. مثلا, Imam al-Mahdi comes to Fulan Marja' and he says to him, drinking Red Bull is haram, let's say. And there's no riwayah. He doesn't say, go back and see the riwayah. Right? This dream, if the marja' himself was convinced that this is the Imam, we say, hujja alayh, it's a hujja for him, proof for him, so it will be haram for him to drink Red Bull. But can he put it in the books of Fatawa and say, wallah, I saw a dream and the Imam told? No, he can't. وَلَيْسَتْ حُجَّةَ عَلَى غَيْرِهِ. It's a hujjah for him, proof for him. If he believes this was actually the Imam, and the Imam is actually trying to communicate this, he has yaqeen or itma'nan, it will be haram for him to drink Red Bull. But he can't put it in the books of Fatawa. So the dreams and seeing and these these abnormal, supernatural methods of communication, it's a very touchy subject. Okay, very touchy subject. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Is it good to debate with the Sunnah? You mean al-mukhalifin, yani? The other sect, about which one of us are going or on the right path, I guess, is what is trying to be said. Yes, absolutely. It's good. Obviously, keep it respectful. Don't, as Hassan said, don't curse and la'na and this and that and in their face, because that's not going to really get anywhere. But yeah, absolutely, it's good to debate and show the truth for what it is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the words of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, encouraged us to do so. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If a person has a surgery, does it have to be a male if it's a boy having the surgery? Okay, so I guess in terms of like the medical field, right? Can a woman go see a male doctor, vice versa? Or can a male have a woman surgeon and vice versa? Bil asl, by default, you should seek a doctor that is your same gender. So that if you need to show them something, مثلا if a woman needs to show her arm, her chest, whatever it is, it's a woman that is seeing and it's halal, right? By default, you should seek a doctor that is the same gender. If it gets to a point where there's no doctor that is the same gender, and also in other situations as well, then you go to the doctor that's available, right? But by default, and that is even in childbirth, that's even in surgery, and it's a surgery you must have. You have to get your tonsils taken out. Tonsils, it's a little easier because it's your mouth. But mathalan, you have a stomach problem and they have to go and open your stomach up, mathalan, and you're scheduled for an operation in X amount of time. It's not an emergency case. طيب, ask, is there a male? Ask, is there a female? If there is, biha wa ni'mat. If you're unable to get somebody that is the same gender, then khalas, your hands are tied at that point. وَالضَّرُورَاتُ تُبِيحُ الْمَحْظُورَاتِ. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Any more? I think that's good for today, yeah? Alright. Jazakumullah khair, my brothers and sisters. There's some more questions. We'll leave them for tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you very much. Don't forget me and my family from your dua. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. Habib, Allah Salmak.